So, my name is Callie, and I'm 32 years old. I didn't think it was a big deal at first, just a casual conversation with my friend Kelsey over the phone, but apparently, it was the spark that lit the whole thing on fire. Let me back up a bit. It was one of those typical chaotic mornings. My husband Josh was working from home, our baby was teething and extra fussy, and I had this rare chance to catch up with Kelsey while folding laundry. I wasn't even trying to be quiet about it. I mean, it's my house too, right? I was laughing, telling her how I'm the one who calls the shots in our relationship, how Josh is basically on my schedule, my rules, and yeah, I might have said something about how if I don't get my way, I have ways to fix that. I was joking. Kind of. Anyway, Josh must have heard me, because later that day, his whole attitude changed. He wasn't sulking or anything, but there was this vibe. You know when someone's too quiet? Like they're just stewing on something? That was Josh. Normally he's pretty chill, but suddenly he was all, let's sit down and talk about the budget, and I think we need to rein in spending a bit. Like, what? Since when is he the money guy? Honestly, it ticked me off because, yeah, I do like to shop. Sue me. Being home with a baby 24/7 is draining, and sometimes I just want to feel like me again, not just mom. Buying a new bag or getting my nails done isn't some crime, but suddenly Josh had opinions. He didn't yell or accuse me of anything, but he started asking these pointed questions like, do we really need another delivery this week? Or, how much are those yoga classes costing again? It felt like he was keeping tabs on me, and I hated it. The kicker? He canceled one of my credit cards without even telling me. I found out when I was trying to order groceries, and the transaction didn't go through. At first, I thought it was some glitch, but then I checked the app and saw it had been shut down. I confronted him right away, obviously, and he was like, well, we talked about cutting back, didn't we? As if we'd actually agreed on that. I couldn't believe the audacity. Josh has never been this assertive before. I mean, yeah, he's the one who technically earns more since I'm only freelancing part-time right now, but that doesn't mean he gets to treat me like a kid with an allowance. I told him as much, but he just gave me this calm, condescending look and said, I'm not trying to control you, Callie. I just think we need to get on the same page about what's necessary versus what's extra. Necessary? Who decides what's necessary? Because let me tell you, spending half the day changing diapers and trying to get baby food out of my hair is not glamorous. A little retail therapy is my sanity saver. I don't think he gets that. Or maybe he does. And this is his way of punishing me for what he overheard. That's the part that really stings. He didn't even bring it up. I know he heard me, though. I could tell from the way he avoided looking at me all afternoon, and the timing of his sudden money talk couldn't be more obvious. If he had an issue with what I said, why didn't he just come out and say it? Instead, he's doing this passive-aggressive thing where he's tightening the purse strings and making me feel like I have to ask permission for stuff. And look, I get it. Kind of. Maybe I shouldn't have bragged about wearing the pants or whatever, but honestly, it was harmless. I was venting to a friend. It's not like I was out here plotting to take over his life, but now he's acting like I'm some spoiled diva who needs a reality check, and it's really starting to mess with the balance we had. The worst part is, I don't know how to fix this without admitting I was wrong, and I'm not even sure I was. I wasn't lying when I said I usually get my way. I do. That's just how things have always worked with us. I push, he caves. It's been our dynamic since we were dating. So why is he flipping the script now? Just because I said it out loud? If he has a problem with me, he should say it, not pull these power moves like cutting me off financially or acting like the budget police. It's like he's trying to send a message without actually confronting me, and I'm not here for that. What am I supposed to do? Apologize for speaking my truth? Pretend I don't enjoy being in control? I don't know. All I know is, things are different now, and I don't like where this is going. It didn't take long for everything to blow up. I tried to keep things cool for a while, but Josh's whole new, I'm the boss vibe was getting on my nerves. He was nitpicking every little thing I did, how I spent money, how much time I was on my phone, even the way I planned meals. I mean, who complains about having takeout a couple nights a week? It's not like I have all this free time to whip up gourmet dinners while dealing with a screaming baby. But to Josh, everything was suddenly a discussion. So yeah, I snapped. It started when he casually mentioned that we should probably cut back on streaming subscriptions. Do we really need 4 different platforms, Callie? He said, all calm and reasonable, like he was explaining basic math to a 5-year-old. I couldn't take it anymore. I put the baby down for a nap, marched into his makeshift home office, and just let him have it. Okay, what is your problem, Josh? I asked, arms crossed, ready to go to war. You've been acting like a total control freak lately. Canceling my credit card? Micromanaging everything I do? Seriously, what's going on? He didn't even look up from his laptop at first, which just made me angrier. Finally, he leaned back in his chair and gave me this infuriatingly calm look. I'm just trying to be responsible, Callie. Someone has to. Oh, so now I'm irresponsible? I shot back, my voice rising. I'm sorry, I didn't realize buying groceries and keeping the lights on was irresponsible. Or maybe you think getting my nails done once a month is some kind of luxury only you can afford. That's not what I said, he replied, his tone still maddeningly even. But you can't just spend money like it's Monopoly cash and expect me to pick up the slack every time. You don't even check the budget before you swipe the card. Wow, I said, laughing bitterly. So now I'm just some spoiled brat, is that it? You know, you didn't seem to have a problem with my spending when we were dating, or when I bought you that fancy new watch for Christmas. But suddenly, I'm the bad guy, because you've decided to grow a backbone? That hit a nerve, and I knew it. His jaw tightened, and for the first time, he actually looked angry. You know what, Callie? Maybe I didn't say anything before because I was too busy working overtime to keep up with your endless Amazon hauls and last-minute treat-yourself weekends. But I'm done with that now. I'm done being the guy who just nods along while you do whatever you want. This isn't just about money, it's about respect. And clearly you don't have any for me. Respect? I scoffed. Are you kidding me? I'm the one holding this family together while you're in here hiding behind your computer all day. You wouldn't last a week doing what I do. And you wouldn't last a day without me paying the bills, he snapped back, his voice finally rising to match mine. You think folding laundry and ordering takeout makes you the glue holding this family together? Grow up, Callie. This isn't high school anymore. You can't just pout and withhold affection every time you don't get your way. That one stung, and I felt my face flush. But instead of backing down, I went for the kill. Maybe I wouldn't have to withhold affection if you weren't so boring. When was the last time you actually tried to make me feel special? Or are you too busy playing Mr. Perfect to notice that your wife is miserable? He stared at me, his expression icy. Miserable, huh? Funny how that's my fault when you're the one who spends every free second scrolling Instagram or complaining about how hard your life is. Do you even hear yourself right now? You're so wrapped up in your own little world that you don't even see how selfish you've become. Selfish? I yelled, my voice cracking. You're calling me selfish? I gave up my career for this family, Josh. I could have been somebody, but no. I chose to stay home and raise our kids so you could keep chasing your stupid promotions. And now you're acting like I'm some kind of gold digger? Don't, he said sharply, cutting me off. Don't you dare try to rewrite history. You wanted to stay home. You said you didn't want to deal with the stress of balancing work and a baby. That was your choice, Callie, not mine. I opened my mouth to fire back, but nothing came out. He was right. I had said that. But in the heat of the moment, I couldn't admit it. Instead, I doubled down. You're such a hypocrite, Josh. You act all high and mighty, but you're no saint. You've been checked out of this marriage for months. Do you even love me anymore, or am I just a roommate who spends too much? His face hardened, and for a second, I thought he might actually yell. But when he spoke, his voice was low and steady, which was somehow worse. You don't get to pull that card, Callie. Not after everything you just said. You want to know if I love you? Maybe ask yourself if you've done anything to make me feel loved lately. Because right now, all I see is someone who's more concerned about being right than being a partner. I stood there, stunned, as his words hit me like a brick wall. I wanted to scream, to cry, to throw something, but all I could do was stare at him in silence. For the first time in our entire relationship, I had nothing to say. He had called me out on everything, and I had no defense. The damage was done, though. I could feel it in the air between us, thick, heavy, and impossible to ignore. I had crossed a line with the things I said, and so had he. There was no going back from this. I didn't even pack a proper bag. I grabbed a few things for the baby, threw some clothes into a duffel, and stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind me. I was fuming, my heart racing, tears welling up but not spilling over. Josh wanted to act like some big, macho know-it-all? Fine. Let him see how it feels when I'm not there to hold this family together. I drove straight to my mom's house, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. When I walked in, my mom immediately knew something was wrong. "Callie, what happened?" she asked, taking the baby from my arms as I collapsed onto the couch. She looked at me with that mix of concern and disappointment she's perfected over the years. "Josh," I said, my voice shaking. "I can't do this anymore, Mom. He's impossible. He thinks he can control everything, what I spend, how I act, even what I say. I can't respect him. I never really did, to be honest. He's just so boring." Mom raised an eyebrow but didn't say anything right away. She set the baby down in the playpen and sat across from me. "What do you mean? You don't respect him? Callie, he's your husband. You chose him. You married him. You have a family with him." "I know, but maybe I made a mistake," I snapped, my emotions bubbling over. "I thought he'd be different, more exciting, more, I don't know, ambitious. He's just so predictable, so safe. I can't stand it. And now he thinks he can just boss me around like I'm some child? I'm done, Mom. I want out." Mom sighed deeply, folding her hands in her lap. "Callie, I'm gonna say this because I love you, not because I'm taking sides. You need to think long and hard about what you're saying. Josh isn't perfect, but he's a good man. He's stable, he loves you, and he provides for you and your child. If you leave him, you might not find someone like that again." I rolled my eyes. "So what? I'm supposed to just settle? Stay miserable because I might not find someone better? That's such an old-fashioned way of thinking, Mom." "It's not about settling," she said firmly. "It's about being realistic. You have a family now. This isn't just about you anymore. And if you're so miserable, why haven't you left him before now? You've had years to walk away, but you didn't. Why?" I didn't have an answer for that. I wanted to say it was because of the baby, or because I didn't want to be alone, but the truth was, I never thought I'd actually need to. I always assumed Josh and I would just figure it out, that he'd keep bending, keep giving in. But now, for the first time, he wasn't bending. He was standing his ground. And I hated it. Still, I wasn't about to let my mom turn this around on me. "You don't get it, Mom," I said, crossing my arms. "He doesn't see me for who I really am. He just wants me to be some cookie-cutter wife who agrees with everything he says and stays in her lane. I can't live like that." Mom shook her head, her eyes full of pity. "Callie, you've always been strong-willed, and that's not a bad thing. But marriage is about compromise. You can't always have it your way." "Maybe I don't want to compromise anymore," I said, my voice rising again. "Maybe I'm tired of pretending to be someone I'm not just to keep the peace." Mom sighed again, but she didn't argue. She just said, "Callie, think carefully before you make any big decisions. Once you cross that line, there's no going back." That night, after putting the baby to bed, I texted Josh. I didn't say much, just that I needed space and would stay at my mom's for a while. I expected him to call me, to beg me to come home, to apologize for being so controlling. But he didn't. Hours passed and my phone stayed silent. The next morning, I couldn't take it anymore. I called him, ready to lay into him for not fighting for our marriage. But when he answered, his voice was calm, even distant. "Hey, Callie," he said. "How's the baby?" "She's fine," I snapped. "Are you seriously not going to ask me to come home?" There was a pause, and then he said, "I figured you needed space. I'm not going to force you to do anything you don't want to do." That threw me off. "So what? You're just okay with me leaving?" "I'm not okay with it," he said, "but I'm not going to chase you either. If you want this marriage to work, you'll come back on your own. But things have to change, Callie. I'm not going to keep living like this." "Change?" I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "You mean you want me to change? You want me to stop being myself so you can feel like the big man in charge?" "That's not what I said," he replied. his tone still maddeningly calm. "But if being yourself means disregarding my feelings, spending recklessly, and treating me like a doormat, then yeah, something's got to give." That hit me like a slap to the face. For a moment, I couldn't speak. I had expected him to grovel, to beg me to come back, but instead, he was drawing a line in the sand, and worse, he was making it clear that I was the one who had crossed it. "I can't believe this," I finally said. "You're just going to throw everything away because I'm not perfect?" "No, Callie," he said quietly. "I'm not throwing anything away, but I'm not going to keep pretending that this marriage is healthy when it's not. If you're willing to work on things, I am too. But if you're not, then maybe you're right, we shouldn't be together." I hung up after that. I couldn't stand to hear him talk like that, like he was ready to walk away. But deep down, I knew he meant it. And for the first time, I realized I might actually lose him. It took me a few days to sort through my emotions, but the truth started sinking in. Sitting at my mom's house, staring at the walls of my childhood bedroom, I realized I had overplayed my hand. Josh wasn't going to chase me down, and he wasn't going to fold just because I threw a tantrum. The conversation with my mom played on a loop in my mind, especially the part where she said I might not find someone like him again. The idea of being alone terrified me. Not because I couldn't survive on my own, I'd figure it out eventually, but because deep down, I knew Josh was a good man. He wasn't flashy or exciting in the way I sometimes wished, but he was steady, reliable, and, most importantly, a great father. I didn't want to raise our daughter in a broken home, especially when the brokenness was my fault more than his. So, I swallowed my pride. I packed up the baby and drove home, rehearsing what I'd say to him. When I walked in the door, Josh was sitting on the couch, looking over some documents. He didn't jump up or act surprised to see me. He just glanced up and said, "Hey." That was it. No anger, no sarcasm, just, "Hey." It threw me off. "I'm back," I said, setting the diaper bag down awkwardly. "We need to talk." He nodded and closed his laptop, motioning for me to sit. "Okay, talk." I didn't know where to start, so I just blurted out what I'd been thinking. "I don't want to fight anymore, Josh. I've been stubborn, and I've made mistakes. I want to work on things, for us and for the baby." He didn't say anything right away. He just studied me, his expression unreadable. Finally, he said, "Are you ready to really work on things, Callie? Because I'm not going back to the way things were. If you're here just because you don't want to be alone, or because it's easier than leaving, then we're wasting our time." His words stung, but I couldn't argue with them. "I'm here because I want to try," I said quietly. "I want to fix this." He nodded, his face softening slightly. "Then we're going to have to start with some ground rules. This isn't just about you or me, it's about what's best for our family. That means we both need to make changes." I bristled at the word rules, but I didn't push back. "What kind of changes?" "For starters, we need to be on the same page financially," he said. "No more impulsive spending, no more hiding purchases, and no more expecting me to clean up the mess afterward. If we're going to make this work, you have to respect the fact that I'm not an ATM." I wanted to snap back, to defend myself, but I didn't. He was right, and deep down, I knew it. "Okay," I said reluctantly. "What else?" "We need to communicate better," he continued. "If you have a problem with me, say it to my face instead of venting to your friends or letting it build up until you explode. And I'll do the same." I nodded, though it felt like he was the one holding all the cards. For once, I wasn't in control, and it made my stomach twist. "Anything else?" "Yeah," he said, leaning forward. "I need to know you're willing to be a partner, not just someone who takes and leaves me to deal with the consequences. If you're not ready for that, Callie, then maybe this isn't going to work." I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of his words. He wasn't begging or pleading. He was laying it out plainly. Change, or this marriage was over. And for the first time, I realized he'd be fine without me. Josh didn't need me to survive, but I needed him. "I'll try," I said finally. "I don't know how, but I'll try." And I did. Over the next few months, I made small but steady changes. I cut back on shopping and started sticking to the budget. I started asking Josh for his input instead of just doing whatever I wanted. It wasn't easy, and I resented it at first, but slowly things started to improve. Our fights became less frequent, and while the love we once had didn't magically return, There was a new kind of respect between us. Josh didn't let up, though. He held me accountable, and he didn't sugarcoat things. Whenever I slipped back into old habits, he called me out on it. But instead of feeling attacked, I started to see it as him holding me to the standard I should have been meeting all along. And as much as I hated admitting it, following his lead made our lives smoother. We never got back to being the couple we were when we first fell in love, but maybe that was okay. Marriage isn't always about being happy. It's about building a life together. And that's what we did. Our daughter grew up in a stable home with two parents who were willing to put in the work to make it work. In the end, I learned that love isn't about always getting your way. It's about compromise, humility, and sometimes swallowing your pride for the greater good. And while I may not have been happy about the power dynamic shift at first, I came to realize that Josh's leadership wasn't about control. It was about doing what was best for our family, and maybe, just maybe, that was enough.